And welcome back to episode number 2 of the Messy Room Podcast. It's me, your host, Justin, coming at you guys here on this very nasty, very cold Valentine's Day. Hope you guys are having a good Valentine's Day out there. I am joined by none other today than my wife, my special significant other, the better half, or I should say the better 3/4. Let's just be completely honest here. So for many of you that don't know, Allison is a dance instructor. And there's plenty of Saturdays, she does the same thing I do, Monday through Friday, jobs, and then on Saturdays and late on Thursdays, she goes and she teaches dance. She does rehearsals with different kids. Tell us, what is probably your youngest age group and your oldest age group?
It's a lot different this year than normal, just because I moved an hour away. And I went from 4.5, 5 days a week to 2. But youngest right now is probably 9 years old, and then my oldest is 17.
So it goes basically from about, what is that, 4th grade till 3rd or 4th grade till senior in school, and
that's just me. We do have 2-year-olds.
And I know that you have some students, and you, for example, did this whenever you, I'm guessing, graduate high school and you go into that, you have the chance to become an actual instructor yourself. The company passes that on, basically. And that's one good thing I love about the company that you work for, Footprints, is that for kids that start off young and you stay with this company and you go through the years and you fall in love with your teachers, you create a bond with them, and eventually one year you're able to actually step up to that role yourself, or the kids are, and then they start teaching, and it's a cycle that keeps going. It's not like, hey, whenever you graduate, you're out the door and you can go find something else to do. They can actually continue a passion and something that they love. Now, for kids that are listening, or anybody might be in high school, or maybe they're out of high school chasing dreams and whatnot, you like to teach dance, obviously, or you wouldn't be doing it on Saturday. It's not just for, making a little extra money or anything like that. It's actually something you enjoy. What do you say to those that have a hobby, have something that they enjoy, but they feel like the everyday stress of life, how heavy and mundane their job may be, what they have to do to make income and bring in, they may feel like they don't have enough time to do it. They may feel like they've gotten too far away from it, and they would like to get back in the cycle of it. But what has to be there for a person to really chase that dream still? They've gotten to the age now where they realize they have to make an income, and it maybe isn't their dream or something that they enjoy as much as their hobby, but they still would like to have it somewhere in their life. How do you find ways to still do it after your week of going to work and the stuff you have to do?
Probably the answer that nobody likes to admit is right, but it really is just a priority thing. It's how bad do you want to do it? I mean, I could be a dance teacher every day of the week, all day long, but in our area that we live in, that's, for me, not too realistic of a goal. So it's, how am I going to work a 9 to 5 and then teach dance, which obviously requires a lot of extra time. And then I'm how would you say it, a multi-passionate person. I don't have one thing that I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to do every day for the rest of my life. I do 17 different things, which can be hard to stay on track, but that's where it what do you prioritize? You're going to have time for what you want to have time for, which, like I said, is pretty, typical answer, and nobody likes to hear it because there ain't no shortcut. You either are going to do it or you're not. I feel like if it's something you have a passion for, you'll figure out a way to make it fit in.
And that's basically the biggest thing, is that it takes a lot of elbow grease, hard work, and that there is no shortcuts in life. Kids, to anybody out there listening, there's tons of videos on YouTube. I've seen them myself. You can take a shortcut to do this and do that. And don't get me wrong, there are people that have done things that just got lucky. Things fell in their lap. They were in the right place at the right time around the right people. They made something that it just instantly hit. It was a meme. It was successful. It was viral. But that's not the case for everybody, and you can't rely so much on something like that. So it's like Allison said, it comes down to, if it's very important to you and it's that important to you, you will find a way to bring things into your life. And it takes a lot of personal sacrifice. How many Saturdays have you wanted to just sleep in late and me and you just sit here at the house?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was the last 6-7 Saturdays in a row that I'm like, I work at a bank, so Fridays are our busy days, and usually by the time I leave, I'm like ready to pull my hair out. So we come home, I'll have to do adulting.
Have to clean clothes and
dishes,
cook.
Dinner. You know, the house is probably a mess by Friday, but Saturday morning, I've signed myself up to be in the laundry at 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning, and so then I just have to go. And I mean, it's just as simple as choosing to do it, which
and
sometimes...
you still do it with optimism. I want to bring that up, is that it's never a crutch. It's never a I have to do this. It's a, well, I get to get up today and go do what I like doing. That's always the attitude that I always see my wife bring up, and it's something that I have to relate whenever I'm doing the things extra that I do, or if me going to work. Because if you live in a life of I have to, it'll eventually not be your passion and not what you want. You'll
It takes the fun out of everything. I mean, I say this all the time, and I've said it since I was young. Like, you pretty much go to school all your life, work, and then pay bills, and then you die.
Exactly.
So I'm like, might as well have fun doing it.
And it takes a team to keep that thing going. When you guys are getting involved with another person, when you're dating, you need to really pay attention and study that person, and pay attention to their body language, the things that they say, what they talk about. How much of a priority are you going to be in their life? That is right then, that is in the future.
Oh, yeah, because don't get me started on that. You already know.
Well, you remember, like we was talking about 3 years ago, standing in that spot. Even then, when me and you were boyfriend and girlfriend, I looked at you and I said, this is where we will build a house. It wasn't this is me and my stuff right here. If you're lucky, I'll tag you along. No, ever since from the get-go, it was...
everything, all the stuff.
Everything. It has to be that.
One thing, and I listen to people that I know or just other people about, well, my husband won't help me do this, or my husband won't help me do that. Well, I'm too busy to not have you help me. And if you ain't going to help me, well, somebody ain't getting something done.
And guys, I know this is a society thing, and you guys probably get tired of hearing this, but it's the honest God truth. I used to have the attitude of, well, I'm going to do whatever I want, and if they got care enough for me, they'll just let me do it. It really isn't, it doesn't really work that way. It doesn't, because when you get past a point of maturity, you realize their happiness equals your happiness as well. And you don't want them to be unhappy. Me and her are a team. I've always said that from the get-go. It's that me and her, day one, it doesn't stop.
It's a two-way street. And like you said, I mean, this half of it is the way society is now, I mean, I can't... It takes two people working to have a household and to operate, I can't go to work and clean the house and wipe the baseboards and everything like I'm wanting to and accomplish everything, have time to do grocery pickup or always change the laundry over or whatever it is, There's not a thing that I feel like you're too big to do, too manly to do, whatever, because... I mean, there's sometimes that if you wouldn't help me do things, it wouldn't get done.
And also, it's a matter of respect, too, how people talk to each other about doing things. She can come to me, which she's done before. We built the dining room table, which I'll be the first one to tell you. At first, I did not want to do. I remember I looked at you. I said, why don't we just go out and buy a table? I don't feel like building a table. And she come to me. She said, I have this idea. I've seen this. It was on Pinterest or Instagram or something. Doing old doors with a glass top, and we went down to my grandparents because they have a barn that has a bunch of stuff like that. And I said, let's just go down there and look. And went down there and we found this door that's been in there for a long time, and it was an old door back. My papa got it back in the 70s. He found out of an old apartment.
Stained glass. It's got a mail slot in it.
And I went down there one evening after work, got it, put it back in the truck, brought it home. We wiped it down, cleaned it off. I took all the stuff out of it that was going to get in the way without taking too much off of it where you wouldn't recognize the door. And we went to Lowe's, We got the stuff to do it. And about halfway through the project, I looked like, this is actually fun. I feel actually accomplished for doing this. And it's one of those things where I was sitting there thinking, I would have never done this on my own. I seriously would have not have done this. I would have probably just went out and bought some cheap IKEA furniture. Nothing against anybody that does that, but I did something, or she made me do something that brought up I'm capable of doing something. And that's another thing you want in somebody, is you want somebody that pushes you respectfully to do more, to bring out more in you, to feel more accomplished. It's never a matter of, she comes to me and says, hey, you're doing this and you're doing this right now, and this is going to be my way. And I don't go to her like that. Now, what she is good at, though, I will give her credit on, she'll come to me, she's like, hey, one day, and she always starts off saying one day, not right now, one day I'd like to build a shoe rack, I'd like to redo the pantry. She gives me time to fit it into my schedule in a respectable time frame. Now, if this was something 3 years ago, she's like, hey, I want one day redo the pantry, and 3 years later, it's still not done, and we've had plenty of weekends where we just sit here watching TV. That's kind of one thing, but, if it's a week where we both were just hectic and crazy and something like that, she's not running up to me saying, hey, we still got to get this done on Sunday, the only day of rest that we have. We take our time, we do things, we know we're going to be here most likely the rest of our entire life. We've got all the time in the world to do things to this house and fix things how we want. But it's a team effort, and it's a respectful team effort. If I come home, and like I said, she works late on Thursdays, there's no question in my mind she's going to get home later than me on Thursday. Sometimes you get home at 10:30 at night.
10:30, 11. It honestly just
and then
depends
she gets
on
up
how
at,
quick I get out of the
And
studio.
she gets up at 6:45 the next morning to get up in time just to fix her
a little
hair.
earlier than that.
Well,
but
6:30, 6, to let the dogs out,
Close
to feed her dog, to make her coffee, enough time to fix herself up and get ready to go to work. And if I come home that Thursday and it's not been too bad a day on me, some Thursdays I'm heavy, some days I'm light, and I come in and the sink is just full of dishes. There are some Sundays where I'll look at that and I'll say, I don't feel like messing with it tonight. I'll get it tomorrow evening and help her clean up where. Or sometimes that Thursday I'll just hit it, tackle it. And I try my best, we both do, to have our weekends lined up, because I know how everybody is out there, especially in the summertime when grass starts growing. It's like you work and work and work, and then the whole time that you're off, you spend it cleaning the house. You spend it cutting grass. And you don't have any time to just sit with each other and talk about things and discuss things and, just, it'll amaze you what sitting down and just having a conversation with your significant other about their interests, what they like, what you like, how much fun that is. Because you remember whenever you were dating, that's what you
all
did.
we did.
That's what you did. Back then, we used to ride around Hammond on Sunday morning. I'd stay at her house on the weekend at her parents', and we'd get up. Sometimes we'd go early. Sometimes we'd just wake up and her parents would have breakfast cooked or something, or she'd stay at my house or my parents' house down here with me. And no offense to this area up here, but there was definitely way more to do on Sunday in Hammond, which is why I went to her parents' house a lot more. It wasn't nothing with parents or anything like that. It's just that there was more to do on Sunday in Hammond than there was in Macomb. I mean, we could go to Hattiesburg if we wanted to, but that's an extra hour to and from. And that's kind of sad, but that's another story for another time. But we used to just ride around and we would talk. We would actually make trips to Home Depot. We did that at least 2 or 3 times. And we would look at entertainment centers, the ones with the fireplace in them. We'd look at grills. We'd look at landscaping.
Furniture, just whatever.
I mean, we still got to do landscaping around this house, but it was just fun. It was something we enjoyed doing. And now that time is here. We're no longer talking about the design of the house because we live here. And things have changed, Like I said, we updated the pantry. We're going to eventually put trim around the top of the walls. And you never know. We might change the floor or something, whatever. We stay busy, but we also know when it's time to just kind of sit, relax, and chill. And
but you have way more chill than me, too.
I do. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. I knew her before I asked her to be my wife. And she knew me before she agreed to it and said yes.
Agreed to it.
I agreed to it pretty much. Nobody was holding you at gunpoint. Or
Well,
nobody was holding me at gunpoint. But I see people all the time. They get married and they haven't been with each other in no time. And there's nothing against that. If you really love somebody and you really think it's a thing, then hey, it's your life, go for it. But make sure you have time to really study and understand a person and their motives. How much do they really care and love you? Because guess what? They're going to have things about them that just drive you crazy because we're all different. Things that might annoy you or whatever, but at the same time, you love them. There's things that I do that annoy you sometimes.
I mean, our biggest personality difference is by far just literally what we were just talking about. You could come in here and, like, you're working on something on your computer, but you could do it for hours and hours, and I'm in the other room for 10 minutes by myself, and I'm like, okay, what now? Because
that has a lot to do also with my YouTube and how I do this stuff. Number one, if I have a long day at work, I don't feel like coming here and doing this. I want to take a shower, eat something, sit down, watch a little bit of TV, or maybe play a video game or something, go to bed, or spend time with her, watch a TV show or something, and that's it. There really is hardly no time for this. And people don't realize how much doing podcasts or social marketing or any kind of real social media outlet, if that's what you do for, they don't understand how much work is really put into this stuff, how much you have to be on everything constantly. And I never did. I said, you know what? I like talking about things. I like doing podcasts, YouTube videos. I'm just going to do it. And people that watch it, I love you. You know I do. And you were talking about doing it for a while, but we just stay so busy with everything else that it's just not a consistent thing. And consistency has always been the one thing that has killed me at ever building anything on YouTube. It's just people want videos every week, every day, and if you can do that,
it's like what we were talking about earlier. I mean, I have ideas for this channel, that channel. I could do this. I feel like people would watch it, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, am I ready to give another slice of my time to this? Probably not. So I just don't.
I could spend more time on this, but that sacrifices time away from her. And that goes into what we were just talking about, being respectful of each other and knowing how each other are. I can sit in here, like she said, all day long on this computer. I can make videos, I can talk about stuff, I can make projects, I can sit down and get on Steam and play some Planet Coaster or something, and do that just all day long. But it's not fair to her whenever we've been both working all week, haven't hardly seen each other any time, and then the time that we do have we could spend with each other is sacrificed to that. So you have to find ways to incorporate and bring people in. That's part of the reason why I want to do this podcast. I wanted her to be part of it, and you guys listen to her talk a little bit, and I don't want it to just be a me thing all the time. And that's just really what it all comes down to, guys, is have dreams, have goals, make them a reality. And if you're going to do them with anybody, do them with somebody that maybe they don't see through your eyes that passion, but they're ride or die with you. They'll help you as much as they can. They'll go through it with you. When I went to you with dance recitals, she teaches dance. I ain't been to a lot of competition. I haven't been to every show or every rehearsal. By far, the only thing I've ever really been to is recital. Y'all's big thing of the year that y'all do. Yep. And she told me when we first started dating, this is before we got engaged or anything, she's like, there's one show I want you to show up to, and that's recital. So if you can make that, I'll be happy.
Yep. So, I feel like it's pretty fair.
And that is fair. And
that's another thing, that, not necessarily you, but I'll hear other people griping about it, and I'm like, this is something that
I think something that helped me is, I guess, without me patting myself on the back too much, is I'm an easygoing type of person that I can get along and talk to just about anybody about anything. And when I went to this dance recital, it's never been weird. I've never felt out of place, never felt awkward. I've been able to sit and chill with other guys and talk about things. And here's the thing about, if there's any guys out there that have a wife or girlfriend or something that does dance or tea, I implore you to go to one of these things and watch, especially a recital, especially when the parents are there, the grandparents. And I noticed something the first year I went to one of these. As a guy that, of course, didn't do dance or anything like that, you watch a team effort, a family, more so than just a solo one-person thing. You watch these kids, these girls dance on stage, and when they get through, they run off, and there's actual tears running out their eye, and they hug their teacher, and they tell them thank you. And then they show in a projector, they show trophies, they show times where they sat and ate lunch with each other, they were working on projects, building things, You see the husbands of these teachers and instructors in the back that have been building plywood for backdrops, and they run them out there real quick. I helped out a few times with that. That was one of the biggest things I loved about that. It wasn't like boot camp. Wasn't nobody out there blowing a whistle, telling them to do that, and then everybody left one on. It was a family thing. I still loved, I think it was the second or third rehearsal we went to. Everybody left. You know me, I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night because I'm just used to that schedule. And this was a late night where we all left and went to IHOP.
It was real late.
Real late. But I had so much fun that night. Just chilling and joking and talking about things with everybody. And another thing, like mini bikes.
I love me some mini bikes.
You know, I never...
The whole thing.
I never ridden a mini bike my entire life.
Tried to.
Tried to. I failed because I just ain't got no practice at her and never done it. And she told me, she said, I want you to come to this mini bike race, which, yeah, there were mini bikes there, but the biggest thing, it was a car show. Mm-hmm. The first one I went to, it was down in Gulfport.
Where there are mini bikes, there are cars.
And I had a 65 Mustang back whenever I was in high school, a little bit before me and my papa built before he died. Later on, sold it to, you know, buy this land and get started on a driveway and whatnot. And I missed that atmosphere going and talking with people, because when I sold my car, it's like I didn't need to go to one anymore. And it was another thing cool for me to see. It's like I was looking at it through her eyes at one point in time. When you see something that somebody else loves through their eyes, it's a totally different experience. It's more than just you going because somebody asked you to or you feel obligated. When I went there and I saw these young boys, these kids, they were riding on bikes. Some of them had little tricycle type things, little buggies and whatnot. They had little miniature rat rods they were riding around in that them and their dads worked on and built together. These are kids that know how to change oil and, you know, fix a carburetor and stuff like that at the age of like 5 and 6. I know people my age that don't know how to do this stuff. And it's a skillful trait that they'll take with them throughout life. They'll always know how to work on their own stuff. They'll have a good mechanical advantage, you know, things they'll know how to work on and fix stuff. And it was cool to watch that. And that to me is the biggest thing that will always get me more so than just involved in something, is learning to understand and appreciate things the way other people do, is seeing a family type atmosphere in it. And it's one of those type of things where if one of them struggles or fails or somebody loses a loved one in their life, you see them on Facebook, you know, they extending wishes and talking about things. Then you go to the next show and somebody's got a little, you know, something that they put together for them because they're family and they love one another. I've always loved that kind of stuff.
Yeah, those have been some of the best people that I've known ever. I mean, a couple months ago when my brother got hurt, all our mini bike family in Texas, what did they do? Round up a whole bunch of money to help my family pay for, you know, having to stay because he was admitted in the hospital in Texas. I mean, not even just them, but everybody that I've known, that's literally been the kindest people that I've ever met. And some of these people I only see once or twice a year, if even that, but seems like you see them every day the way they treat you.
Now that she's brought that up, I'm going to just kind of talk about this for a second, not spend too much time on it, but some of you don't know that me and her both had COVID-19 last year. The Rona. And my mom and dad called it. My grandparents called it. The way that week started was the weekend that her brother got hurt over in Texas at one of these things. I
literally got sick the day after I found out. He got hurt on a Sunday.
On a Saturday night.
Or a Saturday night, right. Sunday, I just felt tired, but I thought I didn't sleep well. Mm-hmm. And then that Monday is when I woke up and I was like, whoa.
This is basically what was going on. So before me and her got married, we didn't live together with each other, but she come and stayed up here on the weekends. And that Sunday, you had things that you had to go back home and do. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it wasn't so much at home. You had to go off to like Ocean Springs and get a couple things done. But she was literally fixing to walk out the door that Saturday night, so that way Sunday, you know, she could just wake up at her house and go do what she had to. It wouldn't have been such a bad drive. And her watch goes off that's connected to her phone that shows her brother. And your brother doesn't really call you that often. I've seen him call you before, but not like...
Yeah, he'll just
especially not that time of night.
Well, if he was gone at something with mini bikes and he gets hurt for
I
whatever reason, I'm the first person
And
who calls.
I'll never forget, you looked at me and you said, it's my brother called me. And I looked at you, I'm like, and the first thing popped in my mind, same thing as yours, like, well, he's off at a mini bike thing, so you might want to just call. So you called and...
Straight to voicemail.
Somebody else answered.
Immediately, I was like, oh no. Call my mom. Mom didn't answer because she was on the phone with Miss Susie. Call my dad. Is Aaron hurt?
And sure enough, your parents had to leave that night, drive all the way to Texas.
In the next 15 minutes they left.
But here, this is how I always figure God works in a lot of mysterious ways, and a lot of times it seems like inconveniences in our life. Check this story out. So, your brother, his immune system is nowhere near like me and yours.
Yeah, he has a pacemaker, he has a lot of heart
so COVID-19's always been kind of a serious risk factor for him. Much more different than, nobody wants it.
Person.
Yeah, nobody wants it, but everybody's been having to be kind of patient. He wasn't able to go anywhere last year at all. That was actually one of the first things he even was able to go to. Try to get out and just do something.
I mean, we were wiping groceries to try to keep
everything. And so he gets hurt that night. Your parents leave. I go to work that Monday morning after you stayed here that Sunday because you just wanted to be here and you canceled your plans to go to Ocean Springs that Sunday, just in case they really needed you or whatever you needed to do for them at their house while they were gone. That Monday morning, I got a text while I was at work. She told me she wasn't feeling too good. And you felt like it was just sinus strain because it was the end of August. Weather was starting to change. And
I was real tired, and I'm like, maybe I didn't sleep well.
You know how sinus strain just makes you feel groggy and nasty and you're tired, and it's not a good feeling. So we thought it was that. You went and got tested 2 days later at a rapid test, and they come out and told you had corona.
Yep.
Literally that same night after she went and got tested, my dad calls me and says my grandparents went and got tested. They had it. And we had been around each other that Saturday before she got the call her brother had gotten a wreck. So now we're sitting there going, great. We'll never know who, and it's not a big deal now, but somehow or another, somebody
had it first.
Somebody had it. Nobody knew because there was no symptoms, no signs. Nobody had seen each other all year, and this was like, hey, let's just go say hi. And apparently wasn't a good idea that weekend. But... so her mom and dad and her brother are not in this house, which is a good thing because she was there after she found out that she had it for a couple of days. So that's something we didn't have to worry about. And it's kind of one of those things, like, I honestly think God was sitting there saying, like, hey, you guys are going to get sick. I got to make this happen. I don't want this to happen. And it got your parents away where you didn't have to worry about them. Your brother wasn't going to be at the house around you. And you were able to sit in quarantine by yourself at a house. And when you finally got over it, everybody was able to come home. You was able to clean up everything. We was able to clean up. We scrubbed this house. You had to scrub that house with your parents.
He got released from the hospital on my 8th day of quarantine, which my symptoms were improving. And at that point, I was, 10 days of quarantine. Or they were requiring 10 days. So my 8th day, I just kind of stayed in my room, wore my mask if I had to come out of their house.
And it was a good thing that you weren't home. Or when all that was, or he wasn't home whenever all that was going on. So God was definitely working in a mysterious way at that point in time, considering everything that was going on at that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up because it's fixing to get time for us to go cook some steaks. This morning we had plans to go to Covington. She'd been wanting to go to Chimes, and I told her, said, yes, we'll go. Because
and hoodoo ice cream, because I have been waiting.
Because the last couple of weekends, like I said, guys, we've been busy. We ain't done much here on Sundays. And she said, look, just one weekend. Then I don't have to do this stuff. I'd like to go off somewhere. Well, guess what? We had an ice storm that kind of shut everything down. And I thought that the ice wasn't coming till tomorrow at noon, but apparently they moved it up to today.
But it still ain't here yet.
It still ain't here, but we made a judgment call like, hey, let's just be safe today. Let's, not try to get on a bunch of roads or whatever. We went and picked up steaks. I said, look, I'll cook for you. We're still going to Covington one week because I done promised her we'd do it. Sometimes you just got to do that as a man of the house. Like, look, didn't happen. Sorry. We'll take care of it. So today we're going to do something nice, and we're going to do something nice another weekend. So I want to thank you for coming in here and listening to this because sometimes that door's shut and she has to listen to me just talking here sometimes.
Like wiggling my fingers under the door. Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
are you
like
doing?
just messing with me, you know. So I'll try my best to do this sometimes, but I wanted to bring her in, and this is a pretty good, decent podcast. Some of these podcasts last, 3 or 4 hours, and I don't think we're going to be able to do that.
I mean, I could talk if you'd be quiet.
I mean, yeah, we can do that one day if you guys like. Let us know in the comments below. But I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys coming out here and checking this out. How do you and your spouse work through things? Tell me a good story in your life whenever you guys had to really come together and push through boundaries. And how do you express yourself? Are you a team, or would you like to be a better team? And I hope you guys have a good Valentine's Day. I hope you have a good week. Hope you guys are able to stay warm. Thank my wife for coming out here and talking to you guys today. Give her a round of applause. And she's not going to hear it, obviously, on the video. But thank you for coming in here today, talking with everybody. And I love you guys. I'll see you in another episode here on the Messy Room Podcast. So we're going to go out right now. Bye.